Most people think the Sunni-Shiite split is just about who should have succeeded Muhammad. That's like saying the Protestant Reformation was just about a monk who didn't like the Pope. The real story is far stranger, and it ends with a hidden leader living in a cave, waiting to return and avenge 1,000 years of injustice. So if it's not just about succession, what is Shiite Islam built on? 4 things. Start with the word itself. Shia means party, or to opponents, faction. From the very beginning, Shiites were positioned as dissenters within Islam, a minority that could never be eliminated despite being repeatedly overwhelmed by caliphal wealth, armies, and power. But Shiism is not a single grievance, it's a coherent counter-theology, built on 4 distinct pillars. And let's walk through each one. Pillar 1, rejection of caliphal legitimacy. Shiites don't just disagree about who should lead, they reject the concept of the caliph as a religious figure. A caliph in Sunni tradition means successor or deputy, a political administrator chosen by community consensus. Shiites use a different word entirely, imam. An imam is a divinely inspired guide chosen by God through the bloodline of Ali, Muhammad's cousin and son-in-law. This is not a semantic preference. It reflects a fundamentally different theory of religious authority. The caliph governs, the imam reveals. One is a politician, the other is something closer to a prophet's heir. Pillar 2, anti-monarchical republicanism. Where Sunnis historically accepted a caliph ruling a vast empire, Shiites are, in the classical sense, republican. Right? They oppose single rulers governing as political monarchs. Leadership should be elected or divinely inspired, never imposed by raw power. Pillar 3, egalitarianism. No class of believers should be elevated above another. Shiism opposes any system where one person rules merely because of political power or family background. Now, there's an obvious tension here. Shiites insist on Ali's bloodline for leadership while also preaching equality. That contradiction is real, and Shiites resolve it by arguing that the Imam's authority comes from God, not from aristocratic privilege. Pillar 4, radicalism born of persecution. As perpetual dissenters and objects of repression, Shiites adopted more radical and sometimes violent tactics. This is not an inherent trait. It's a product of centuries spent as a persecuted minority. Persecution breeds militancy. That pattern matters, and we'll return to it. These aren't just theological abstractions. They play out on the map. The Sunni-Shiite division still defines much of the Islamic world. Morocco is overwhelmingly Sunni, stable on this axis. Iran is overwhelmingly Shiite, also stable. The danger concentrates where populations are mixed. Iraq, Lebanon, Yemen, Syria. These are the fault lines. When neither side predominates, theology becomes a weapon. But there's one more dimension, the strangest and most powerful, and it starts with a universal human pattern. Religious groups that face persecution become fixated on a future in which their claims will be vindicated. Early Christians persecuted under Rome produced the Book of Revelation, the archetypal prophetic text foretelling the destruction of their enemies. Shiites persecuted under the Caliphate developed their own version, same mechanism, different tradition. 2 terms to define here. Apocalyptic means the expectation of the world's end in some great conflagration. Messianic means the anticipated arrival of a savior. These are distinct ideas, but they almost always travel together. A figure emerges who, amidst bloodshed and fire, ushers in a purged, perfected world. That Messiah might be Christ at the second coming, or in Shiism, the rightly guided Imam. In Shiism, that pattern produced something specific, a lineage of 12 divinely inspired leaders, and the disappearance of the last one. The Shiites are not leaderless. They have Imams in a recognized lineage, beginning with Ali ibn Abi Talib. These Imams succeeded one another, generation after generation, until the 11th Imam, Hassan al-Askari, died without an obvious successor. Now, the pivotal moment. The 12th Imam, Muhammad al-Mahdi, did not cease to exist. According to Shiite belief, he went into hiding, into a cave. The technical term is occultation, from occult, meaning hidden. For 12er Shiites, the largest branch, and this is not a metaphor, the hidden Imam is a literal living figure in concealment. Either he is deathless or subsequent hidden Imams have followed him. They remain concealed because the time is not yet right. When the moment comes, centuries of grievance will be avenged. This hidden Imam creates something remarkable, a double-layered vision of reality. On the surface, we a corrupt, misguided Islamic establishment, the Sunni Caliphate with its palaces, its armies, its monarchical power. Beneath it, a true subterranean righteous practice of the religion, hidden, patient, waiting. Shiism claims to be in touch with the original desert-rooted, austere, egalitarian spirit of Islam, a spirit corrupted by monarchical power. The surface is opulent and decaying, the depths are austere and luminous, and this isn't ancient history. This theology is shaping the world right now. The Iranian Revolution of 1979 was explicitly Shiite in character. Ayatollah Khomeini positioned himself as a representative of the hidden Imam's authority, governing on behalf of the concealed leader until his return. The Iran-Saudi rivalry maps almost perfectly onto the Sunni-Shiite theological divide. The Iraq War unleashed sectarian violence precisely because Iraq sits on the fault line between these two visions of Islam. Every headline about Iranian proxies, about Hezbollah, about sectarian militias in Iraq, this traces back to the framework we've built. Shiism is not just the other team in Islam. It is a coherent counter-theology with 4 pillars and a uniquely apocalyptic engine. Here's the framework to carry with you. 4 pillars: rejection of caliphal legitimacy, anti-monarchical republicanism, egalitarianism, and radicalism born of persecution. 1 apocalyptic engine, the hidden 12th Imam, concealed beneath the surface, waiting to return and set the world right. Understanding this unlocks headlines that otherwise seem incomprehensible. Somewhere beneath the surface of the Islamic world, Shiites believe the truth is waiting, hidden, patient, and inevitable. And when it finally emerges, it won't come with an apology. It will come with fire.